Welcome to the Networking with Michelle podcast, the show dedicated to providing you with life strategies with a little bit of entrepreneur advice. Here we believe in the Jim Rohn quote, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Hey everyone, welcome back to today's special episode. Special guest is Shon Williams. She is the founder of Find a Cure for Our Daughters and Fighting for Her Life magazine. Shon, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you for inviting me. I am fine, and yourself?
Absolutely. I'm doing great. So why don't you just go ahead and tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Okay, I am Shon Williams, the founder of, like you said, Find a Cure for Our Daughters and Fighting for Her Life magazine. I am a mother of 6, a wife of 26 plus years. I have 5 grandchildren. I have a foundation that is built around helping women fight with chronic diseases. And so we're more than a support group. We do a whole lot with them and their families, for us educating them about their disease and also being a support group to let them know that they are not alone ever.
Okay. And how did you get started with this?
Back in 1993 was the first time I ever heard the word lupus, and I didn't even know what autoimmune disease even meant. And as I, went through my own journey and my battle, I decided to share my battle and my journey with others. And that's when I started the nonprofit organization, Find a Cure for Our Daughters. It just made me want to give back to the people that maybe didn't have anyone to give into their lives. And I didn't want anybody else's daughter to suffer in silence or alone, as I did in the first couple of years of me being diagnosed, because you feel very lonely and cross.
Yeah, I've noticed that, I guess, I've gone older, and I want as I've gone older, I like to say life is getting real.
Yes.
In the sense that, things are starting to happen. Like when I was in my 20s, kind of felt a little invincible. My peers were invincible. And now, I'm looking at people and, things happen and it's unfortunate things. But I'm starting to hear, when I am talking to people, it's that isolation when they first hear the news, when they first got cancer or, some type of other chronic disease. I like to think, though, we're always surrounded by family and friends and support group and church and all these other things. So how were you able to navigate when you heard the news and break through that isolation period?
I think that when the first initial time when you're there and something's wrong with your body, 9 out of 10 times you know that something's going on with your body for way longer before you actually get, the proof that, yeah, I'm not crazy. Something is actually happening to me in my body. And it takes a while before you can process it. But to be told at the doctor's office you have something that you've never heard of, and you're just instantly scared. You get this fear, like, where do I go from here? What do I need to do? Because it's like they don't tell you enough about it. They give you a little pamphlet and they tell you, here, this is what we found in your blood work. Okay, well, I've never heard of this. So, where do I start? And then that's what made me want to know every single thing about the autoimmune disease and what can I do to make sure that everybody around me is educated to be able to support me and help me. And I think that's why a lot of people don't have that support, because they're not educating themselves and definitely not educating their families.
Do you feel that, I kind of feel like there's a lot more education when it comes to health, fitness, and nutrition.
Yes.
Do we start educating ourselves now versus, waiting for something to happen and it's like, oh, snap.
Right. Hey, let me get another. You're right. I do believe that we need to start educating ourselves early. We need to start looking into what I'm trying to do is I look at my granddaughters, and one's 2 and one's 3. And I'm at the point right now, I'm like, okay, I need to start making sure that they're not going to go through what I'm going through. I want to put enough literature together that they don't need Ancestry.com, or they don't need to have to go back and try to figure out where this disease came from. On my end, I had no idea where it came from. I still to this day do not know anybody in my family that had been diagnosed with lupus. Wow. My autoimmune disease, yes, I believe that my both grandmothers had a form of some autoimmune disease, although it was never said which one they had, but they both had symptoms of chronic autoimmune disease. So I wanted to start early. And after it started happening to me, I was like, I have one daughter. I have 5 boys and 1 girl. I know that the boys can get it too. There are men with lupus and autoimmune diseases. You have 90% of the women. That 10% that leads you to the 100%, they're men. Most men are not going to come out and say they have lupus. So my concern was worrying about my daughter being able to inherit what I have. And I did not want that. So that made me test her early. I began to have her tested for autoimmune disease at the age of 13 when she did the very first preteen checkup. We did the screening at 13.
Did you get any pushback from the doctor?
The doctors, they don't want to do it. Of course not. They're like, well, she doesn't show any signs of that. Has she been swelling? Does she have headaches? I mean, they asked me 1,000 questions. Mm-hmm. So what I did was when I first took her to get her first female checkup with her doctor, Dr. Higginbotham, because I had it and I was concerned, she went ahead and did the ANA. And she tested her C-reactive levels. She did her protein levels and all the things that we needed to find out if she had, her ANA showed any signs of inflammation or having an autoimmune disease, because that's the test that you need to have. A lot of doctors are not going to run that test. Even when you go for a well woman, when you go for your yearly annual check, and, I find it so hard to believe that they won't check for autoimmune disease, but they'll check you for breast cancer. And it's just as serious, because it can be living in you and you don't even know it. You can actually have an autoimmune disease, and some people think that they have carpal tunnel because their wrist is hurting, and you have arthritis. Some people think that they have old folks arthritis, or is what they call it, but it's not. It's osteoarthritis, which comes from wear and tear of the joints and tissues and muscles around in your body. And that's the arthritis that people tell you have arthur, which is, you normally get it from a sports injury or just natural wear and tear. And it's not in the same family. It's not in the autoimmune disease family, just having regular, normal arthritis. They're actually trying to take the word arthritis off of the end of rheumatoid arthritis and say that you have rheumatoid disease, because it's really doesn't have anything to do with arthritis. Arthritis cannot even compare to what rheumatoid arthritis does to your body. And you would think, I think what happened with me is like, I wanted someone to explain to me what rheumatoid arthritis really was and how did I get it. Back in 2010, I went out one night with the girls, and not out, we just not dancing or anything, but we had a little girls' night out. Normal night. I didn't do anything any more stressful than I normally would have. And the very next day, September 29th, I woke up and I was completely paralyzed from my waist down. I couldn't move anything. And that's when my husband rushed me to the hospital, and I was told that it wasn't a lupus flare-up that I had. Now I was diagnosed with RA. And I was like, what is RA? Mm-hmm. So when we found RA in your blood work, we also found Sjogren's syndrome in your blood work, and we also found fibromyalgia. And that day devastated me in 2010. I had a 3-month-old baby, my last born, the number 6. And I was like, where do I go from here? Now I can't walk, and I don't even know if I'll ever walk again. They had no clue if I was ever going to walk again at that moment.
I'm glad you go
right.
ahead. Well, I'm glad you've been able to overcome this. Yeah, I guess I have so much in my head right now. What I'm considering is, when I think of arthritis, I'm thinking inflammation of your bones, your joints. And, if it's my leg, I get arthritis in my knee at times. And I'm like, okay, well, I just need to prop my leg on the pillow, take a couple of Aleve, and,
swelling go down.
Yeah, give it a couple of hours, the swelling will go down. Try not to, maybe minimize my errands.
First off.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And it may not even be that. That's, as I look back on it now and I look back over the years of when, I first started getting sick or whatever, I remember being in church all the time and I would wear heels to church and have to almost walk out of church barefooted because just the sitting, I would swell from my knee all the way to my toe. And I couldn't have thought that was normal, but I didn't pay attention to it. Yeah. Now I know that was a flare up. All those times that happened, and I would just sit there and swell. My rings would get tight on my fingers and stuff like that. And I just didn't recognize it. So that's why education is so important right now. It's so important that we get out and that we speak on this and that we educate others and that we let people know that you don't have to stay in that hurting in a lone state. You can find out exactly what's wrong with you and you can have a wonderful support team.
But also what I'm learning from you, in addition to the education, is being proactive. When you do go that annual checkup, at least the annual checkup with your doctor, asking the right questions, being honest, about your...
Even if it don't make sense, just ask them.
Yeah.
You might think, I don't really want to ask my doctor that. I don't want to tell my doctor my knee's been hurting. Yes, if it's just an isolated incident, if it just happens once a month, but it happened once a month, you still have to start paying attention to your body and try to be proactive, try to get ahead of the game. Because the farther you are ahead of it, the better off you're going to be because you won't have to go into an intense treatment. You can start preventing the deformities that it caused. Your feet twisting and your toes getting nodules and knots and your fingers getting nodules, knots and twisting, your speech getting bad. It impairs everything. I've had about 8 surgeries on my right kidney. I also had my gallbladder removed. I also had reconstructive surgery of my intestines, my stomach, and my esophagus. I've had so many surgeries that probably could have been prevented if I would have, in my late 20s, early 30s, paid attention to my body even closer than I should be, knowing that in 93 I was told that I had lupus.
Wow. Can you talk about how your diet and maybe exercise has changed over the years?
You do have to. I do know that a lot of people go straight for the diet. They go there first. They're like, let me change my diet. Let me change my exercising. But I want to tell you this. It is so hard for someone that has chronic pain to exercise. People, I know doctors will be, you need to get up, you need to walk around, you need to move. They say the more you move, the less stiffness you're going to get, the less pain you'll be in. Well, that's not true in some cases. I think that they should tell people that case by case. Now, the eating, yes, you need to back up because the medication is already going to make you gain weight. The period of time that I was in a wheelchair, I gained over 100 pounds, literally. That 8 months that I could not walk between the prednisone, which is steroid, and you just not being mobile, you just gain weight and you have water weight and fluid. I'm sitting at 135 pounds. I'm thinking, oh my God, I was a whole nother person at 260.
Yeah.
So that's even harder on your bones and your body, so that put wear and tear on it on top of having the chronic disease. So I think you're right about telling people to start. You got to start somewhere. And most times when you're diagnosed, you're already overweight. So you got to start trying to get the weight down because the doctor's telling you, you got to bring your blood pressure down. You got to bring your sugar down. You got to be able to get this weight off of you. You need to take some of the pressure off your bones. So the only way you can start taking those things off is to eat better, to walk more, to exercise, but in some cases, if you find out that you have it in the middle of a flare-up, you can't do that. But yes, you definitely, to answer your question, you definitely have to start making some life changes immediately when you're diagnosed.
I would like to get your advice on something, as I consider myself an older millennial, and therefore, my mom is in her mid 60s. What is some advice that you can give millennials as we need to manage our health, but what are some things that we can actually do to take care of our parents as they're just getting older in general, and then sometimes some of these illnesses start to affect them?
My first thing that I want to teach my kids and anybody who's a caregiver, anybody who's listening that's a caregiver, the first thing, even if it's your parents, your children, even yourself, you want to start with the regimen of love and understanding. If I could bottle it up and pass it out, we would already have a cure. The hardest part of dealing with, you have these diseases, or my body's changing, I'm getting older, I'm going through something is happening, is knowing that you're not alone. And to let them know daily, let's call them, let's check on them, let them know it's not in their mind. Because as your body begins to change, you go through a CAT scan, you go through MRIs, you go through machine after machine after machine, and they can't see anything. They don't see anything. They can't find anything. Most chronic diseases are called invisible diseases. You feel them, but nobody sees them. The only way most doctors know that something is going on with me if my blood pressure goes up. Because I suffer with low pressure. When my blood pressure is up, not even high up, just to a normal rate, they know that I'm in pain. Pain causes your blood pressure to go up. But I can tell you this, that a lot of people, like say your mother, or my mother's 65 years old. She's not a whiner. She's always busy. She's always doing something. She never tells us if she's not feeling well. You just have to know my mom. You have to know your mother. You have you have to know your spouse. You have to know when they're having a bad day. Because I know my mom is getting older, it was hard for me at first to accept that, because I was like, I'm so used to her. She's been a nurse. She's been on her feet. She's always out about. She can preach three services and get out and still run with the best of them. But you have to start noticing there's going to be a time when she starts to slow down, and not stop, but slow down. And that's the same thing. You don't have to be in your 60s. You can be in your 30s and have a chronic disease, and you have to start just knowing that person, learning that she's not having a good day today, and I see it in her face. Offer them some time to go lay down, some downtime. What I see is happening a lot is people are calling them lazy. She just don't want to go nowhere. She's a homebody. All of a sudden, she doesn't want to cook. She don't want to be around the family. But those are warning signs that something is going on when they start staying away from the family.
Okay.
And begin to isolate themselves, because you don't want people to think you crazy. Now, the doctor already can't find out what's wrong with me, but I know something's wrong.
Yeah.
And that's how you feel when you have a chronic disease. You're wondering, what do I have to do to make you see what I feel?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so hard. You're like, I need somebody to see this pain. I need somebody to understand that I got lip gloss eyeliner on and my hair on fleek or whatever. My outfit is the bomb. My body inside feel like somebody has flipped me inside out. Because we get so used to hiding it until we become the master of cover-up.
Yeah.
And it's not good all the time, because you can actually lead yourself into harm's way by covering up a major problem. You need medication. I know that I used to not want to take those 32 pills a day. And I was like, God, you know what? I just can't. And my mother told me, she said, go ahead and take your medicine. She said, but pray that God heals you through the medicine. And every time she would go to the hospital with me, she would say, I pray that God touch the doctor, use the doctor to heal my baby. You know, I use this medicine to make her feel better. So I started looking at it in a different way. I started thinking, oh my God, I need to just use the medicine. Even though I'm trusting and believing that God's going to change me or he's going to heal me, I need to let him heal me through the medicine or heal me through the doctor. You can't do it. A lot of people try to do it on their own, and that's when you crash and burn. And don't get me wrong, I tried that as well. I got off of all that meds for 18 months. And I can tell you now, Miss Michelle, when I went back, no doctor wanted to touch me because they feel like you want to heal yourself. Don't come back to us when you're in critical condition and need to go to ICU.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you darned if you do and you darned if you don't.
Yeah, I get it. But I love how you said the regimen of love. And I think that is something that is underlooked, especially with society being so busy.
Yes.
And work and business consuming so much of our time, and probably have your own family, trying to take care of your spouse, your children. Now you have an aging parent, whatever the case may be.
Right.
But it's really about extending that love to everybody. And
I'm telling you, if I could just bottle it up, if I could just give me a whole bunch of bottles and put that love and support out of it, I would pass it out for free. Because I'm telling you, it's the greatest medication that they ever could have created, to tell somebody you love them. I mean, you can feel bad. My daughter she tells me all the time, if you get up and put some makeup on and put some clothes on, if you look better, you feel better. And all the time that don't work. But if it works, you got 30 days out of the month. If you can get 3 even good days, I say 3 good out of the week, doing that, then trick yourself as much as you can. Because, baby, let me tell you, it is so hard to tell yourself that you don't feel this type of pain. I did an interview on yesterday, and I was explaining to them that it feels like having a toothache in your entire body.
Ooh.
When you have a lupus or a flare-up. It feels like you're actually having, I don't know if you've ever had a wisdom tooth trying to cut through your mouth, but it feels like that through your entire body. You just hurt everywhere. You hurt in places you didn't even know exist. But I remember the first time I had pain behind my ear. I'm like, what is this? I was shocked. I'm like, why does it hurt so bad? It's tissue right there. It's muscle right there. You know, it's a part of my body, so it hurts in every way.
Why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit more detail about what your organization and the purpose behind the magazine?
The organization Find a Cure for Our Daughters, I created it to be more than a support group. I wanted to let everybody know that I was fighting with a chronic disease and illness, that you are not alone and you will never be alone as long as Find a Cure for Our Daughters exists. We have the daughters, we come in, we help them with finding a good doctor, we help them with co-pays, we help them with paying rent, we help them with transportation, we help them get, just any kind of care that they need. If they don't have a good doctor, if they need referral, if they need transportation, we really try to have sponsors donate to adopt daughters. And daughters of all ages, we have them from anywhere from 20 all the way up to 65, because this disease does not care how old you are. So you don't have to be a certain age to be a daughter of Find a Cure for Our Daughters. So that's a little about the foundation. We do take donations. We have sponsors that come in and they take our daughters under their wings. They help pay for daycare, and the money is all taken and put back into the daughters and the foundation. Now, Fighting for Her Life magazine, it started because I started writing a book about my journey. And on Facebook, I've had my journey going through Facebook every single day for the last 2 years. And I have the people that follow me through my journey. And I said, I cannot put all that I've been through into a book, because I'm going to forget something, because something new happens every single day. So because of that, I started the magazine again. I've decided to put it in a series because I don't just want people to hear my story. I share other women. My ambassador, Raven Blessar, is on the new copy of the magazine. Her story about what she's been through with her lupus will touch your heart in such a way that you will never, ever want to not know what lupus is all about. It is completely educational. So I know that there's other people out there that needed to get their story out. So I couldn't just be selfish and write a book about my journey. I included Fighting for Her Life magazine to help every woman out there that they want, that needs to get their story out. And they're able to do that for free. They're able to send us their story, and we pick at least anywhere from 5 to 10 stories a month to publish in the magazine.
Okay. I'm not for sure if you know this, but I want to say maybe a week ago, Lyft, the ride sharing company, announced that if you have cancer, they will give you free rides. I think it's definitely free rides to the hospital, but I don't know if it's like free rides overall. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. So that might be something, you can reach out and, try to piggyback off of that.
Yes.
Sponsorship.
I can't help everybody, but, we do try. As long as we have sponsors to donate, we have some people that regularly just send their $25, send $35 for their daughter. And, people think, well, daughter, this lady you gave me that I sponsor, she's 60, I'm 20. It's no age. It's absolutely no age to the daughters. You can help anybody. We take all donations and we make sure that you know where your donation has actually been designated to. I don't want anybody to be left out. So we help in any way we can to make sure that there's no daughter left behind and there's no daughter on this planet alone.
Absolutely. How can people get in contact with you?
They can reach me at the website. It's www.fightingforherlife.com. Also, we have a hotline that's 24 hours, 7 days a week. It is 844-HERCURE. 844-HERCURE. And it's 844-HER-CURE. You can give me a call anytime. We have a full staff at the office and we'll pray with you, talk to you, get them help in any way they need. Anything we can do, we will do.
I love this. I've just, there's things I've been telling myself and making a decision. And I just feel like our conversation today, it's been a confirmation of those things that I need to do for myself. And
yes, are you located in Houston?
I am in Houston.
You should come by and see me. Come by the office and we can talk further about, whatever it is you're thinking or whatever you know that it may be or could be, just act on it. Yeah. You know your body better than anybody.
Absolutely. And with that being said, what is one action item that you can tell our listeners that we can do today?
I want to tell each and every woman that is listening and watching on Facebook as well to make sure that when you do your well woman checkup that you incorporate the test and the ANA into your paper, your blood work. I'm sorry, I got thrown off a bit. Into your blood work. Make sure that you're getting tested for any autoimmune disease, any inflammation, any autoimmune disease that may be in your family. They normally always ask you about cancer or heart disease and things like that. But just make sure that they're adding in autoimmune disease testing, which is called the ANA. Make sure that they incorporate that, and that's your first step of finding out if you have any type of autoimmune disease or chronic illness.
All right. Well, once again, Shon, I want to thank you for your time. I'm going to make sure we have your website and the phone number in our show notes. That way our listeners can reach out to you and donate. A lot of us are doing very well, young professionals, entrepreneurs. Let's try to donate, get behind this cause, and do at least $25 a month or maybe $100 as a one-time donation. Because this could be you, and you might need this support. somehow, whether it's through this organization or another organization. So let's put some good karma out there. Remember, I believe in you, and a personal connection leads to an influential network. Thanks for networking with Michelle.